having issues with this one, but we're good on that end.
Good evening and welcome to Village Hall. Standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I ask if you could please remain standing? The village lost this week a longtime member who moved to California a couple of years ago, Mr. Peter Flea. He was the past president of West End Civic Association, an active member at OLV, part of the 100th Centennial Anniversary Committee, and an active member. Thank you. Good evening, once again, welcome to the Village Hall. We have our agenda and our board reports, and then we'll open it up for any and all comments, questions, concerns from residents here or on Zoom. But before we start the agenda, is there anyone that has any questions specific to the agenda? Seeing none, nothing on Zoom, right? Ms. Walsh, could lead us to the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would ask the board to approve the regular Board of Trustees minutes and the special use term public hearing minutes, both held on July 19, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried.
I would ask the board to approve the schedule of accounts payable as follows. As of July 29, 2022, the general fund $687,087.74, full fund $55,530.48, capital fund $6,246.94, for a grand total of $748,865.16. And then as of August 12, 2022, the general fund was $1,380,490.26. Full fund $106,459.45. Capital fund $116,052.70. For a subtotal of $1,603.02.41. For a grand total of $2,351,867.57.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh, will you pull the board?
Trustee Pombana. Aye. Trustee Chiara.
No.
Trustee Stewart.
Aye.
Trustee Longbody.
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to approve or ratify the request to use public facilities subject to receipt of certificate of insurance and CDC and Department of Health guidelines as presented.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried.
I would ask the board to grant the application for the special use permit of Shane Moyna, owner of BJD Corp., for the property located at 6-8 Ravina Avenue, known as Swing the Teapot, subject to the terms and conditions set forth in the decision and resolution.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Pombana. Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Aye.
Trustee Longbody.
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to approve Thomas Skeeta and Jack Stahini as new members of the Floral Park Fire Department since having received arson clearances from the Nassau County Sheriff's Office, background checks from the Floral Park Police Department, and received medical clearances from the village physician.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second it. Thank you for the volunteer.
Ms. Walsh? Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Pombana. Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Aye.
Trustee Longbody.
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to authorize the tax certiorari settlement of the property known as 270 Jericho Turnpike, Floral Park, New York, where the petitioner will receive a lump sum payment of $600, which covers tax years 2015 to 16 through 2021 through 2021-2022. Thank you. Sorry.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Pombana. Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Aye.
Trustee Longbody.
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to approve the below listed block party applications in accordance with section 32-12D of sidewalk and curb replacement on South Hudson Avenue from Mayflower Place to Woodbine Court in the amount of $51,180, to mill pave and sidewalk and curb replacement on Main Street in the amount of $24,897.72, and to mill pave and sidewalk and curb replacement on Tunnel Street in the amount of $47,294.36, for a total of $123,372.08, which is reimbursable by 3TC contractors in accordance to their agreement, which is also piggybacked off of the Village of Farmingdale contract, and authorize the mayor or village administrator to sign contract.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani? Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Aye.
Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to authorize road work ahead to pave South Hudson Avenue from Jericho Turnpike to Mayflower Place in the amount of $166,049.40, piggyback off the Village of Farmingdale contract, and authorize the mayor or village administrator to sign said proposal.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Aye.
Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to authorize the purchase of two 2023 Tahoe police vehicles in the total amount of $95,998 from Chevrolet of Smithtown, which is a participating vendor on the BOCES Cooperative Bidding Program under bid number 19-20-045, which bid was extended through 10/29/22.
I'll offer the resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart?
Aye.
Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to authorize a refund request from individuals that are unable to attend or participate in recreational pool programs and for the building department permit fee as presented.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart? Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I would ask the board to accept the letter of retirement from Police Officer Robert Hayes, effective August 29, 2022, after 15 years of service with the Floral Park Police Department.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second, with our appreciation for Officer Hayes.
Any further discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart? Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye, and Bob, thanks for all your help and best of luck going forward.
I would ask the board to adopt a resolution that the execution and delivery of any equipment lease purchase agreement with Bank of America Public Capital Corp. with respect to the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit with a cost not to exceed $3,568,195, authorizing the mayor or village administrator for execution and delivery of documents required in connection therewith, subject to finalization of such terms of the documents as deemed advisable by the village attorney and village administrator, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution as described in Exhibit C-1.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart? Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
You got it.
I would ask the board to authorize the mayor or village administrator to sign a memorandum of agreement with the Floral Park PBA covering period from 6/1/2022 through 5/31/24.
I'll offer it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh?
Trustee Cambani?
Aye.
Trustee Chiara?
Aye.
Trustee Stewart? Trustee Longbody?
Aye.
And Mayor Fitzgerald.
Aye.
That was all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And now we will move to board reports, and we'll start with Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I will be here tonight with the fire department. We begin with congratulations and tremendous thanks to former Floral Park Chief of Department in 2003, Robert R. Pfeffer Jr. In addition to his years of service in our village, Chief Pfeffer just completed his term as president of the New York State Association of Fire Chiefs. What an extraordinary honor for Chief Pfeffer, his family, the Floral Park Fire Department, and our village. Chief Pfeffer was recently Chiefs Convention in Syracuse and applauded by chiefs from all over New York State, including Floral Park's Chief of Department, Jeff Dodson, and several of our assistant chiefs. Such an impressive achievement. Training is the primary focus in our fire department, and it takes many forms. Recently, our chiefs attended a conference which included two important training programs. One on fire ground strategies, which start when the alarm is first transmitted to the department, the response, setup of a fire, collaboration with mutual aid departments, plan of attack, strategic steps in extinguishing a fire, cleanup, communication throughout the fire process, and return to quarters. And the other important workshop was on basement fires, always dangerous and sometimes fatal. Other training include fire inspections and behavioral health, so important in these stressful occupations. Coming for 4 nights in September will be the Nassau County Fire Service Academy in Bethpage, where our entire department will practice hands-on real-life firefighting in staged burning buildings. Further updates on that next month. In the month of June, there were 111 calls for fire department assistance, which include over 80 for our ambulance and 4 mutual aid calls. Monday afternoon, yesterday, our department was called to a fire was called to fight a dangerous mutual aid fire on Beecham Avenue in Elmont. Many local departments responded to a vacant multi-story commercial building in flames. 4 hook and ladder trucks were utilized to surround the building and 3 extended aerial ladders to the top to extinguish the fire. Thanks to all the first responders who fought this challenging fire, including our very own trustee and former Chief of Department, Michael Lombardi. Mike, thank you. For the Department of Public Works, the village's road projects continue following a delay due to a change in road construction contractors and discussion and board action at the July 19th meeting. Another contract will begin the Spooner Street project. In addition, 2 road paving projects in conjunction with 3TC and the third track. Actually, there was one big project combined sponsored by us and 3TC. Will take place on South Tyson Avenue between Woodbine Court and Jericho Turnpike in the coming week. As far as the Spooner Street project, tree removals that are deemed necessary by the village's engineers and arborists will start this coming Monday, August 22nd. DPW Superintendent Kevin Ganane will work closely with the Floral Park Bellevue School District, John Lewis Child School Administration, and Bright Horizons Preschool to coordinate roadwork schedules with the school's pre-opening activities in August and the opening of school in September. Residents and businesses will be notified too. The Hinsdale Avenue, Jericho Turnpike to Lowell Avenue, and Clayton Avenue road projects will begin in the months following Spooner Street and the Spooner parking lot. Following reconstruction between Covert Avenue and Walker Street on Marshall Avenue, the last phase will be the tree planting and replacing sod at the curb lines, and the Marshall residents are very happy with the project and looking forward to seeing their trees. The other newly paved roads in the Hillcrest section are scheduled for line striping in the next week. We are all tremendously grateful to our DPW and sanitation crews for their dedication and tremendous hard work throughout the many weeks of this heat wave and humidity. Thank you all from a grateful village. For the Conservation Society, as we celebrate our Best Public Park of Nassau Award, it's time to congratulate our other Best of Nassau winners. Right here in Floral Park, we have the Best American Restaurant, Crabtree on Jericho Turnpike, the Best Butcher, Pellegrini's Prime Meats, Fish and Catering on our very own Covert Avenue. It happens to be a student event, but it's close enough for us to celebrate them. Best Fitness Facility, Legacy Strength Gym on Jericho Turnpike, and Best Vascular Care Metro Main Center on Atlantic Avenue. There's one more big winner, but I think Trustee Lombardi would like to tell you about that one. As you can see, the Village of Floral Park is definitely the best of Nassau. Our Best Public Park is now open weekends, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., at least through the month of August. Already we've seen many enthusiastic Centennial Gardens fans visiting during the weekend morning and evening hours. Weekday hours remain the same at 12 to 5 p.m. for now. So stop at Centennial Gardens during the weekend. There's now more time to stay and enjoy it. And for the Chambers of Commerce and our businesses, the Floral Park and Covert Avenue Chambers of Commerce are getting ready for fall and scheduling their welcome back meetings in September. We invite all of our Floral Park and Stewart Manor businesses to check the respective websites for details at floralparkchamber.org and covertavenuechamber.org. Explore the websites for information about our chamber members, upcoming meetings and events, and discounted dual memberships. Really wonderful. Be sure to save the date, Saturday, October 15th, the return of the very exciting Floral Avenue Chamber of Commerce Street there. And to all, are you shopping and dining local at Floral Park and Stewart Manor? There are guests in there soon, so enjoy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Chiara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For both our building department and police department, I have no report updates, but I would like to, however, remind all our residents and encourage all to drive safely and obey the traffic regulations, especially on some of our newly paved roads. Please obey the speed limits and stop signs. During the summer months, a lot of our residents are walking, riding bikes, and using our streets, especially our children, so please drive safely. I would also like to congratulate our Best of Nassau winners, our Centennial Garden volunteers who make the garden so beautiful, making it a great place to visit. And of course, I guess I'll leave out the second one, because Mike touching that one. Good celebrating. And kudos to all our local business owners who provide such great services to our community, making Floral Park a great place to live. Congratulations to all, well-deserved recognition.
Thank you, Trustee Chiara. Trustee Stewart.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to welcome one of our newest businesses. I believe it is our newest business, Craft Beer and Gourmet Shop at 31 Covert Avenue. Thank you to Alex and your staff for having us at your grand opening. Best of luck. I promise you head on down there, you will find something that delights you. For the Long Island Railroad 3TC, you may have seen Governor Hochul take the inaugural ride along the new third track, along with representatives from all communities along the corridor, including our Mayor Kevin Fitzgerald, Village Administrator Jerry Bambrick, and our consultant Archie and former trustee Archie Chang. While this signifies the majority of the work is complete, it also signifies the beginning of 3TC holding up its end of the bargain to Floral Park and the other communities along the third track corridor. This includes, but is not limited to, fixing damaged roads, landscaping where appropriate, and addressing safety concerns, and cleaning up after themselves. At our monthly village representatives meeting with the MTA and 3TC, we have been assured that all concerns will be looked at thoroughly. I continue to reach out to the railroad, urging them to be a good neighbor, clean the station and the grounds beneath, and clean under the trestle at both Tyson and Plainfield Avenues. For the Recreation Center, we are pleased to inform residents that several bid packages have been picked up, and we're looking forward to work beginning on the multi-purpose ring shortly. I shouldn't say shortly, I should say this fall. This renovation will provide a safe place for our Screaming Eagles Roller Hockey League, as well as courts for football and basketball. The multi-purpose rink will provide much fun for residents of all ages. Members of the board will be meeting with league representatives from all of our leagues next week to discuss all field use. All leagues should also note that their permits come with the understanding that use may be revoked for a particular day during their season to meet the needs of the larger community. Morning sports for our elementary age students has come to an end. I'm confident all athletes learned something new about the rules of sport as well as sportsmanship. Congratulations to all our adult league winners in both men's and women's volleyball and basketball. Good sportsmanship was practiced or at least attempted each week on our courts. Our pool season has only 3 weeks left. The pool will close on Labor Day with the traditional last jump at closing time, and then be open on Tuesday the 6th for our annual senior citizens luncheon. Congratulations to our Pirate swim team, which finished the summer undefeated in swim meets against both Mineola pools and the Stewart Manor pool. We are so very proud of your accomplishments. Thank you for having myself and Dr. Campagno at your award ceremony last week. As many of our summer staff at both the pool and the park head back to school in the coming weeks, we wish you much luck, and we will see many of you next summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Trustee Longobardi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to join my fellow board members in congratulating all of the best of winners from the town. Regarding specifically to the Floral Park Library, I am happy and honored to announce that our library has once again been selected the best public library in Nassau County. It is a a great honor and it is a testament to the great activity and education center that is our library. This is not possible without the hardworking, dedicated staff at the library, starting with our director, Pat Aarons, assistant Linda Sartini, our entire library board of trustees, and all the hardworking employees and volunteers that make the library work and the great center that it is. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. The library is another piece that makes this village a great place to live and raise a family. And here are some of the current events and activities that have made the best library in Nassau possible. One of our librarians, Kelly Fernandez, was recently highlighted in the Nassau Library System as a published author for her graphic novel Manual. Congratulations to her. Ongoing right now are Tuesdays in August is Pilates on the Lawn. This Friday morning at 10:15 is a live animals family event with animals from the Green Meadows Farms. Next week, Monday through Wednesday, will be a civic for kids, grades 2 to 5, where they can learn about the history of our village. And thank you to Bobby Sings Bobby for another great concert on the library lawn last week. And as a reminder, www.floral.library.org has this and much more on it. For Four Village Studios, yours truly had the honor of being Mayor Fitzgerald's guest at the latest Floral Park Mayor's Report. That show is currently posted on the website and available to watch. It is also run as part of the September lineup. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity, and truly enjoyed the time and discussion. And it was also very interesting to watch how they record and produce the show. Other shows currently running include Uncorked, The Author's Corner, The Antique Road Test, and West Houston Presents. Please visit www.4vs.org for dates and times and complete list of shows. Thank you.
You may one day be famous.
Yeah, you never know.
So as Trustee Stewart mentioned yesterday, Village Administrator Bambrick, Home Trustee Archie Chang, and I, at the invitation of the Governor's Office and the MTA, rode the inaugural train on the third track from Jamaica to New Hyde Park. Although the project is not 100% complete in Floral Park, and there are a number of items that need to be discussed and rectified here in the village, as Trustee Stewart mentioned, I think this would be a good opportunity to extend some thank yous as the long discussed and debated project is near its completion. So bear with me. I would like to thank our current and past state elected officials for intervening where necessary on our behalf with the MTA before and during the project to make sure our concerns are heard. I would like to thank the MTA, LIR, and 3TC for working with us to ensure that concerns were being addressed on the ground and in real time. I would like to also thank our former mayors, starting, believe it or not, Mayor Ann Corbett back, I think it was in 2005, when she started the Third Track Task Force. I would like to thank Mayor Corbett, all the way going through Mayors Ranieri, Green, Tweedy, and Longobardi for keeping the focus on our residents' needs. I'd like to thank the members of the Third Track Task Force for the hours and hours of research and testimony that they did and provided. Additionally, I would like to thank the hundreds of residents that provided their testimony to ensure that the project was thoroughly thought through by the MTA and 3TC prior to its beginning. And lastly, I would be remiss if I did not thank our Village Administrator Jerry Bambrick and former Trustee Archie Chang for their tireless efforts during the last few years when the bulk of the construction work was occurring here in our village. We're better for your efforts. Thank you. There's certainly a lot more work to be done, but we're almost finished with this project. And even though it was not always smooth sailing, we were not a boat left adrift in a tempest. And I think, as we mentioned many times, especially with the arena, but this is definitely a template that should be used going forward for governments working together for the needs of their residents. Also last week, I had the opportunity to, give testimony for the new draft schedule for the Long Island Railroad that has been posted and is scheduled to start sometime in December with the opening of Grand Central Terminal. Just a few comments which I made on that hearing was, I stated that the draft schedule is now making living in Floral Park even more attractive than it already is. And some of the highlights of the enhanced services that we'll enjoy are more AM peak trains, which will allow more flexibility in the morning. You don't have to rush as much if you have to miss a train. More AM peak trains before 6:15 a.m., which will allow better seat availability for those of those early trains. For those of you under 6:14, usually you're not getting a seat. I know Mr. Healy's on this sometimes. More midday trains that are every half hour instead of hourly. more weekend trains, which similarly will now be every half hour instead of hourly, and more frequent stops at the Floral Park station post the PM rush. This will allow our residents to be able to stay in the city longer, enjoying whatever event they're attending or at work, and not having to worry about making a train. So post the PM rush, the trains will stop pretty much every half hour here instead of every hour. It's definitely going to help out. If you're having an event in the city, you're not going to have to worry about making a train. And with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to close the meeting and before we move to public comments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Right. So with that, I see a couple of residents here in Village Hall that may want to comments, questions, concerns. Mr. Hill. Hopefully it's got a relatively quiet summer by now.
Well, it has been quiet, which has been nice. But I have 3 quick items for the board. First is around Belmont. Asking the village to keep up the attention on the vegetative buffer. It seems to be non-existent so far.
When we get to the other, I'll address that for you.
Do I?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple weeks ago, and I apologize, when we walked down your block, we spoke to a couple other residents on Crocus about it. I don't know if you go home that day. But NYRA has committed, and they will be starting putting a 2-foot buffer, 2-foot mound up against the curb, and moving the fence from where it is now, which is like halfway between the curb and the fence, all the way to this new mound, and putting it on top, which will put the height of that fence somewhere around 12 feet. And the inside of the fence, which will be on the Floral Park side, they're going to be planting arborvitaes.
That will extend all the way to the school property?
No, all the way to the triangle. The triangle is still in flux right now. So, but they did say once that gets resolved, if they need to continue the work there, they'll do that.
Now that's good news. Residents have been talking about it, and given that we're getting into colder months.
Yeah, I think don't quote me this, but I think they may do it once the construction's done on the practice track, make it same operator doing that for them.
There's also a rumor going around that the new fence will obstruct the view from the west end into the track. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Apparently it's going to be a fence that is, it's one of those fences you can't climb, which I understand the need for that, but you won't be able to have a nice view.
Well, that's a separate issue. The fence that's along the property line all the way from the school to Plainfield Avenue, they want to replace that. And if you look at the fence that they just erected on Plainfield Avenue, going down all the way from the school all the way down, I think it's almost done to Hempstead Turnpike. That's the fence that they want to place up there, but we're still talking to them about it.
Okay. No, it's good.
You may see that in certain places in the village for security reasons, but we are working with some of the homeowners. Those 2 separate issues.
So that was one issue I guess you combined. I'll make the other 2 quick. Second, I do think that 6:13 in the morning is a quick train. It's 20 minutes. While the new schedule does offer a few more options, the only challenge with that is we do lose a 28-minute train. So you're going down to like 36 in the morning, 36 in the train. It may not seem like a big difference, but people do enjoy the 28-minute train. So I know residents have started to talk about that.
No, it's- The problem I always have with that, if you got to be in earlier, you got to get on at 5:15. At least there's
That's
no train between there. So
It's that tight window between getting to 6:40 or 7 o'clock, or just early.
Right.
So, not everybody will be happy, but we do lose the 28-minute train, which is that tempting. And last but certainly not least, the third item is in the West End. There's been a continual conversation. I learned more about this issue recently, observed it a little bit myself. There tend to be individuals, I would say, loitering in certain areas of the West End. It seems to be increasing recently. And so you have individuals kind of hanging out towards the dead ends by the train station. And over on West Elder, there's that area with flowers. And so don't know whether they're residents, not residents, that doesn't matter, but you tend to see people, usually people walk in the West End. You walk in different places. They're not going in a circle, staying in the same spot for a long period of time. They don't seem to be very young either, and so, again, it seems to be something that maybe the police can focus on and report But again, it's hard to tell, I don't know. who's
Is it an individual or a group of people?
Seems to be a couple of different people.
But they're all,
Again, I haven't really studied
it's
it.
not a group of people together, it's individuals. That
I personally not observed a group,
Oh,
but two individuals. And I've heard of individuals, and there's been some talk about it, and so it's come up from a few people that have approached me and talked to me about it, and asked questions, hey, do you recognize this person, what's this person doing here, that sort of thing. So again, you know, maybe people like to hang out in the public areas and enjoy themselves there, they're good residents, they're hanging out, and that's fantastic. Don't know if they can do that, but it's something just to be aware of.
the police commissioner that we had seen with Lieutenant McCarthy's here, they'll take that back.
And they have been aware, they've been vigilant, but, you know, they said the police can come back and that they should be aware of anything strange that seems to be happening.
Sure, yeah, just, you know, when you see something, you always say something, so. Thought I'd bring it here tonight, and thank you very much.
Let's see it.
All right, and those are my 3 or 4 items, so.
Mr. Murray?
Is this gentleman have anything to?
No, it's Mike Durbin. He's also a resident,
Actually, I got a couple of things to say, I didn't want to hold anybody up. How are you doing?
Good.
Just for my kids' sake, those signs and stuff, so that's the guy says been helping us chair, and that's on the body. Switch. We have the wrong sign. Okay. I told my kids about it before they look at him. I'm trying to tell them. It's not him. Playing jokes on this. Oh, you didn't have to change it, it's just my kid, everybody else knows.
When being filmed, I want to have the right trust here.
Why don't we just start mixing them all up?
That's
I love and trust you.
We're all one team.
All right, Robert Moran, 17 Avenue Street. I've been before you before with Centennial Hall. I'd like to speak about Centennial Hall. So, I went to an architectural review board meeting on July 27th. And I'm going to speak about that. We had a very, very difficult time communicating. And it's kind of almost gone full circle. And that's what I like about this board. You let me talk. And, you know, things tend to get done. So, full circle, on May 11th, when I went in front of the zoning board, I brought up a number of concerns that I'm telling you I believe were primarily dismissed, right? And then within 6 days, I was able to get a bunch of concerned neighbors to come down here, which I didn't do tonight. You're welcome. I'm kidding. But it's, you know, there's no, we had a lot of people at the architectural review board. That's what I'm talking about going full circle. We had this amount of people during the zoning board, and we were pretty much dismissed. And it's in the transcript, and Chairman Down said, you know, normally when something's of great interest, that's what he said. When I've been before you guys before, he said nobody cares. That's not what he said. He said normally when something's of great interest, people come out. And without knowing the verbiage in the zoning code, my wife and myself were trying to bring up health, safety, and welfare concerns in the community. And we were dismissed. And in being dismissed, I decided to let people know, because you had explained the process to me, right, with the mailings. And I tried to make it very clear that nobody really knew about this, that Chair Downs thought people knew about this. But again, I'll just say again, there was one postcard that went to 32 units at 5 Adelaide Street. And it actually, I'm sorry, it didn't go there, it went out to Patchell. So none of my neighbors knew about it over there. And then on Tulip, which is like 100 and something apartments, one postcard went there, so nobody really knew about it. So within a couple of days, it was very easy to do. I was able to get many people come down here to voice their concerns, right? Now, before your meeting, I had gone down to the buildings department. They're always very great at the buildings department, sharing the file with me and sharing information. And that's when I looked at the traffic report, right? I told you guys about the traffic report, and now I understand that's being addressed, right? But a concern of mine and a problem that I have, something that is problematic with the zoning board, is they had that traffic report. They didn't pick up on what I had picked up on, and now it's kind of being addressed. And again, I feel our concerns were dismissed. Now, at your meeting, I give you guys the traffic report, and things are being done, right? We hired some guy from New Hyde Park, and he's doing another analysis and
see, I.
NV5.
I'm sorry, what?
NV5 is the name of the court.
Okay. It's
I don't think it's the right call.
another traffic report, it doesn't, you know, as long as this one has carnation on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Black and not two of them, and then talk about carnation, then maybe it'll be okay. We'll see. All right, so moving forward, well, I guess I just want to find out, like, where are we in this process? So you wanted to talk about the process before we did.
So the ARB had a meeting,
Correct.
and there was, I understand, I was not there, there was a lot of takeaways, and they have to come back, and there's a lot of open issues that need to get resolved, including entrance, exit, the review of the traffic study,
Right.
and any architectural aesthetics that, you know, they don't like, or residents opined on, or made comments on.
Okay.
So that's the next step, and
Right, so
August is not, just to be clear, it's not on the August agenda, right?
Correct.
Today was the deadline, so
September maybe?
it will not be on the August.
Oh,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Not even-
I found out about it on Thursday, and how many people do we have? 110 on July 27th. Phenomenal. Going to the Met Yankee game, right? The Met Yankee game was on, and it was like the football building. They were at the Met Yankee game, and they didn't come to me, right? Phenomenal time. All right, but where are we in terms of the building code, right? Our building code, right? So the pinnacle question that comes to light is a lot of people believe, right, that there's been a substantial change, right, to what we were originally bargained for in 2018, okay?
So there's
Am I making
change,
myself clear?
there is change, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, right. Now, people, including myself, believe that we can stop this change, right? And I'm hearing at the Architectural Review Board from Trustee Twigg, and I gotta tell you something about Trustee Twigg, I don't know if you reported.
He's chairman of the chief.
Chairman, there you go. He was a gentleman, completely and totally overwhelmed, so he was almost like the polar opposite of Chairman Downs, right? Chairman Downs was like, eh, you know, Twigg was very, very nice, but overwhelmed. And a lot of issues could not be addressed, right? I spoke 3 times, and he was right, I mean, you can agree. He was rushed for time, you can't keep us here all night, blah, 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 right? Right? So it was a very difficult, and I don't know how you guys fit in with these rules, right? So,
We appoint them, the mayor appoints them, the board approves them, and they're independent.
I understand
That they allow
that
residents that, you know,
Right.
live here a long time and are concerned like any other residents.
Right, I mean, when they're independent, nobody, I want to make myself very clear here, because people seem to be getting confused, so, and I don't mean you guys, like this board. So, a zoning variance was granted,
Right.
right, from the zoning board. Now, the zoning board is independent of the architectural review board,
Correct.
right, we're all independent. So, even though they're independent, everybody can work together for the greater good. I mean, this is evidenced by me giving you guys a traffic report, and now all of a sudden, the architectural review board is working on traffic. Right? I mean, you didn't overturn them,
Yeah,
but you're trying to help.
I guess, John and Ryan, just correct me if I go wrong here, the zoning board has a very specific pieces of the code that they look at and they apply them, right?
Yes.
And then the architecture review board is something totally separate. They
Understood.
don't work in connection with each other, they
Right.
sequentially go to different boards sequentially.
Yeah, I think you made yourself clear. I'm not going that route. I'm talking about how you guys all kind of work together. And what I'm saying is, why would the architectural review board now know that the traffic report that was relied on by the zoning board was no good if it wasn't for you guys? This is a good thing.
I don't know,
This-
I don't know if the ARB said the traffic code is no good. The, look,
If I may, Brian, you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could come to my office and I can explain these things to you, because it's not fair to ask the board these legal questions, okay? My office is right up at 131 Blue Avenue. Give me a call, come in anytime.
All right. I'm not here as an attorney.
I got you,
I'm here
you're
as-
asking legal questions.
Okay, but I'm not here as an attorney. These are my elected officials.
I'm not gonna allow them to
then you can tell them, then you can direct them not to answer. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble with any of the boards. What I'm saying is we're all trying to work together, right? And what I'm trying to say is nobody is asking at this time, even though I know people did at that other mayor's meeting, for anybody to overturn the zoning board, right?
No.
Okay. But people are asking for the architectural review board to stop this in its tracks. Right? I just want to make that clear.
You could ask, but that can't happen.
And why can't that happen?
The architecture review board doesn't stop projects. They make suggestions that they want to see under certain guidelines. And if the developer disagrees with them, the developer, I guess, can walk away and come back with another plan. But they can't say, we don't want this, but you gave us, come back with something totally different.
They can deny applications.
But it has to be reasonable. They can't just say, I don't want this. It has to
No,
be
no,
reasonable.
right. And whether it's the zoning.
What's the word arbitrary and capricious, right? It cannot be.
Right.
I'm sorry. I missed
It's
this.
arbitrary and capricious. That would be what the developer would sue the village for if they just stop this project.
Yeah, nobody's just asking them just to stop it.
So you just
Asking
said
it without a reason. Health, safety, and welfare of the community, which is in the building code.
We have to
That
prove that there's a defect in the health and safety environment, right?
no.
No, you just say health, it's not good, it's all village, not good for health, and then just leave it at that, can't do that.
Who, so if we have conditions, right, or we have a conditional variance, right, who's the watchdog of health, safety, and welfare of the community?
Once it's approved,
Well, we have, right now, we have a conditional decision, right?
the zoning board said yes, now the ARB is reviewing
That's right,
for a whole host of issues.
that's right. Okay. I'm sorry, just go over the zoning board, and again, I'm just saying, share information and gain information, just like I did with the traffic. So,
Yeah.
make sure. Thank you.
I mean, if the ARB gives him a gazillion conditions that he does not want to meet, then yeah, but that's a reason.
Right, but if everything's conditioned on the health, safety, and welfare of the community, this is very
It's
specific.
very broad, right?
Health, safety, and welfare of the community, that's right.
It's broad.
Who's the watchdog? I mean, if the community's come out, so we have one owner, so, and we've had hundreds. Maybe I won't say hundreds. There was a lot of different people, a lot, right, that are against this thing, very specifically for safety reasons. And this was lost on Chatham Downs, and that's okay, I'm not, you know,
Can we go back to the beginning of this? Just, I mean, I don't, you may have
I'll
been
go wherever you want to go,
So
as long as it doesn't object.
when we first ventured down the road of selling the building, right? We hired a consultant, CBRE. We had at least 2 hearings here, right? At least 2 with CBRE to find out what the residents wanted. And then CBRE took that all in, and CBRE went out and solicited buyers for it. And the main thing was, that is zoned, as you may know, commercial. The residents all spoke the 2 major things is they wanted the towns to look the way it looks, and they wanted residential. So CBRE went out and, solicited bids for residential only.
Right.
And this is
And
what
that's what we
we
got.
got. This is what we got. We had very limited bids. This was the best one.
Right, and
So-
he did a 30-year covenant to keep it
Right.
residential, right?
So the residents did have an opportunity and did speak about what they wanted in that area. Right?
I was there.
I don't know. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
nothing
no,
there.
I was at, I think it was a lot more than 2 minutes, but I was at.
But there wasn't, right? It was
Right,
a-
so then this whole thing kind of went dormant as far as I saw, I didn't see anything until May 11th. And then on May 11th, that was the first time that I learned. So if you want to go back to the beginning, it was residential, right? And I'm sure this board knows from the architecture review board, I'm not even sure if this board knows, that there was an addendum to the contract, right? And in that addendum to the contract, let me get the addendum to the contract.
Yeah, I know,
Let me
but
just suggest
I'm
Sure.
sure this is,
that a contract, once it's closed, is merged with the deed.
Yeah,
And the deed is the operative document. And
understood.
the only thing in the deed is a covenant to build residential.
Right, but there's nothing that says, that expressly goes against the warranties and guarantees of the contract.
You're a lawyer, right?
Yeah,
That's just not true. You cannot emerge into the deed. The contract doesn't survive.
so his agreement, so what you're saying is he's not in breach of contract? Because it doesn't say.
I think the mayor even wrote that.
Okay.
I told him there was no breach of contract.
No problem whatsoever. But I would still like to show you what we agreed to. And I'm not.
yeah, I
saying
think you
he's-
should first, but I know what it is, go ahead.
You know what it is.
Well, we've got a couple of letters from people which we've responded to.
Right. So in that addendum to the contract, whether or not it's a breach, we'll go with Mr. Ryan. But he agreed, no problem, but he agreed that he would not do this, right? And he would not give substantially different, or he would give substantially similar drawings to the ARB. And that did not happen.
Where do you say that the drawings are substantially similar?
Where do I say?
How do you say they're not substantially similar?
Well,
And by the way, that substantial is not the same substantial that's referred to in the zoning board decision. You're mixing concepts.
it's the same word.
It's the same word, but it's a standard under the zoning code. It is not a it's not a contract language.
Okay, but we all know that variances are changes, correct?
Variances are.
Changes, can we agree on that? A variance
I
is
don't
a
know what you
change.
mean by change.
No?
No, I don't know what you mean by change.
So if somebody seeks a variance, what are they seeking? The same exact thing? What's a variance?
Seeking a variance to provide for relief from requirements of the code. For instance, parking. They got a parking variance. They got a height variance, I think of 1 foot. The maximum height, I think, right? And a parking variance. Those are the variances they got, as I recall.
Right, and those are changes. They got a change in parking, right?
So they
Or
got a
no?
variance.
Right, and a variance is not a change. A variance is the same thing. I mean, this is not lawyer speak. This is just,
It is what it's fixed.
really?
Yeah, that's what this is. This is a legal document.
What is it?
The zoning, the thing you just handed out.
Oh, I didn't know they go. So I didn't know that you had one. So a variance is not a change.
It's an exception.
It's an exception, right? Because, so now, similar, substantially similar drawings, right? Kind of look like
This
something.
is exactly what I was referring to. You want to talk about these legal issues? Come on.
I don't want to talk about it. Well,
These are legal issues. You talk about legal issues. It's not fair to this board to question them on legal issues.
do you not, does my elected officials not, do you not want to answer my question?
I want to get to what your main concerns are. What are you looking for? Like,
I'm looking for the one owner to stick with the original agreement. Now, in the original agreement, regardless whether or not it's a breach of contract, the architectural review board is specifically mentioned. And they mentioned that they will give drawings that are substantially similar. Now, there are huge differences here. Centennial Hall is 18,000 square feet. The new building is supposed to be 27,000 square feet. That's not. Thank you so much. The new building, so it would kind of be like, may I give an example, if I can? Because I can go back and forth with both buildings. It would be almost like, you know what a pergola is on a house? Pergola, right? With 4 pillars, right? And it would kind of be like if you had like an 1,800 square foot high ridge. And now you're going to demolish it. You're going to make an elevated 2,700 square foot colonial. It's not similar. It's not substantially similar. The only things that are similar are 4 columns. And I'm just explaining how people feel.
So I think you're arguing that you and
I'm
maybe
not
others, I'm sorry, discussing. You and others feel that there is a substantial difference. That's the, I think to Mr. Ryan's point, legal term as to what substantial is defined or looks like under this agreement, and what he's looking to do going forward.
Right, well,
Your opinion is substantially different, right?
Excuse me?
It's your opinion that is substantially different.
Yeah, and if you look at the case law, it's lay opinion. If you speak to architects.
Let's get into lawyer stuff, and I'll have to defer to Mr. Ryan.
Yes, it can. Yes, federal cases.
Federal case.
Federal cases. Yeah, I don't want to mislead anybody here, but what the cases are basically on copyright, right? So this has nothing to do with copyright, thanks for your expression.
I'm prejudiced because
You don't have to be prejudiced.
you're talking about zoning issues. And
I'm talking about substantially similar.
contracts. And you're talking about copyright being substantially similar to a zoning case.
I'm talking about a legal standard.
I'm sorry, that ain't the legal standard
It's a legal standard.
for copyrights.
For substantially similar is given with lay opinion, which is really, really weird. Yep.
No, I think it would be going down, the legal route. What terms are defined as.
People don't want the Architectural Review Board to go against what we had agreed to. It's as simple as that, right? There's an addendum, so we've all seen the addendum to the contract. And it's this board's opinion that that's okay, if you want to talk about opinions, that these new drawings are substantially similar to the other ones.
I'm not going to answer that.
No problem. So, does anyone in the trust, may I speak to anyone in the trustees from the
I'm
school?
not the rest of you not to answer that.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks. All right. So in terms of health, safety, and welfare, again, who's the arbiter of that? Is it this board? Is it? Who's looking out for us is what people want to know.
This board, this zoning board, the AOD, the police department, the buildings department, public works, everybody.
Okay. But when the community is bringing up congestion problems, leading to safety problems.
We're getting a traffic study to decide, and a separate traffic study to decide, or look into what those issues are. They may be related to the building, they may be pre-existing.
They're pre-existing right now.
Right, so that's,
And we can tell me if this is a legal question.
I don't know if the building's gonna make a substantial difference in the traffic there or not.
I don't know what you mean by substantial. Okay. So, the original plan said 20 spots, is that correct? 20?
I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly.
Okay, and now they're up to 39. 39 spots, it's almost done. 39, that's definitely happening. It's almost double, okay?
So that's not a good thing, there'll be less parking on the street. What is that a good thing?
It would be a good thing to add 39 cars to Carnation traffic. You think that would be a good thing?
Who says they're going to be on Carnation?
And why aren't they, couldn't they be parked on your block all day long, as opposed to in a parking lot that he built?
All right. So this was the same issue that I was having with Chairman Young. So I thought I made myself clear last time I was here. The congestion problems that we have, right? So
Right, we have ongoing traffic study for it, so.
understood. Okay. So, but to speak to your question, which I don't really understand. So you have Carnation going from the railroad down to the deck, right? And that gets back up. And that you had numerous residents tell you they were on the wrong side of the road. I told you we had 2 baby trees that are now gone because of accidents, right? We had a meeting here on May 17th. There was a car accident without 39 cars in the parking lot. It's vacant. There's no cars in that parking lot. And we're going to add 39 cars there. And there was an accident on May 18th. So I think if you add 39 cars, egress and ingress, to a place that's already congested, that's going to add to the congestion problem. Do you follow what I'm saying? No?
I follow, yes.
You follow?
No, but it may or may not, depending, I don't want to get the whole argument, but it may or may not, depending on what time they go in and out. If they all don't go in during rush hour, it's probably not a problem, right?
If they all don't go in and out,
I don't know.
we already have a problem, and a problem's going to be exacerbated by what we had agreed to. so the zoning board, we try to bring these issues up about safety, and we were summarily dismissed, right? Health, safety, and welfare, about pedestrians getting hurt. And like, okay, we have a traffic or whatever you call it, BTR, right? But all I'm simply saying is, if we're concerned about the health, safety, and welfare of the community, why would any board let them change what they had agreed to and almost double the amount of cars that are going to be coming in and out? Why would anybody do that?
The zoning board made that decision.
Okay, all right. So, I went to the meeting, did you say the zoning board? Is the zoning board out of this now?
Yeah, they approved it.
Right, so they're done.
They're done, they're out.
Okay. So now it's up to the architectural review, right?
That's correct.
And the architectural review board does have the power to deny the application or no?
They have the power, correct me if I'm wrong, to make changes to what the existing plan looks like.
They don't have power to disapprove an application?
They have to have grounds to dismiss, they can't just dismiss it.
Huh?
They don't have zoning, they don't have the power to deny a building to be built. That's what you're asking.
Well,
What are you asking?
if they have power under the village code, if enough residents come and complain about health, safety, and welfare of the community, does that board have the power to deny the application?
No, and I say to you, to speak to that, and you can look up the case on that one of the things that villages and municipalities sue for all the time is denying applications purely on the basis of community opposition. They get sued for that, and they end up getting to pay large amounts of damages.
Right, but
Take a look at the Long Beach case if you want to see how many people can get
right,
hurt.
but nobody's talking about just denying it because of community going, no, we don't want it. It's based on the code, which is health, safety, and welfare.
It sounds like it's community opposition.
Under health, safety, and welfare. You have a case of the health, safety, and welfare?
Use health, safety, and welfare, that's your opinion.
The health, safety, and welfare is in the
But
code.
you're saying it's contrary to health, safety, and welfare, that's an opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
An opinion. People may have other opinions.
One guy. Well, I go into the balance here. I mean, if you go in front of the zoning board,
You mean one guy, you mean. So
One
you're
property
going to take a vote of the
One
community.
property
You're going to have a vote of the community. That's community opposition.
we're weighing,
I'm debating law with you. It's just, if you want to come and talk, you have to think.
yeah, no problem.
I think you should, I suggest you do that. It's-
Okay, but again, I don't practice this stuff, Avi.
I got
You're
that.
not gonna speak to.
Right, but I'm a man of the people.
You're
And
what?
I'm a man of the people.
Nice, okay.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lawyer.
So when you see something, you say something.
Understood.
Right. So,
And I know DLB has a lot of questions that are currently unanswered that have to be answered and potential changes to it. So, right?
okay. So just, if we may, now the fourth, I don't know what page it is.
You're going to ask some questions
Number
about the
four.
zoning- You're going to ask some questions about the zoning decision?
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you where you want to answer.
really? Okay, so I'll ask you, where is
I'm not
this
gonna answer you.
Nassau County Planning
I'm
Commission?
going to answer you back in my office when you come in.
All right, so now we've directed our elected officials not,
Not to
That's
answer your legal question.
I'm not asking you.
Unless you are reading from a zoning decision and asking them what things mean.
No, I just told you, I want to know where the Nassau County Planning Commission papers are. Just told you that, it's not a legal question.
Where?
Okay,
Say it
Did you
again.
not-
Sorry, I didn't-
Where are the Nassau County Planning Commission papers?
In the county of Nassau, in the planning commission.
We don't have a copy of them?
We have, yeah.
Are they in the buildings? Where are they?
I probably have a copy and it was directed to.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I got a copy in front of me.
as you've been directed not to answer me by your attorney.
It's a legal
Thank
question.
you.
It's a legal question.
That, the national, where the document is not a legal question. It's not a legal question.
Yeah,
You know it,
Yeah, you got your answer.
you know it.
You got
No,
your
no,
answer.
no, but you're directing, you're not letting me speak.
Don't play cat and mouse with me.
Huh? I'm not playing cat and mouse with you. I'm right here, I'll beat you
Stop
off.
it. Good,
No problem.
good. Have a nice dialogue.
Sounds good.
Do you have any other questions?
I have plenty of questions, but you've been directed by attorney not to answer me.
He says I'm donating.
It's not good.
But I,
Well, thank you very much. Thank you and good night. Come back.
yeah, sure.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, sure.
My name is Sharon Moran. I live at 17 Adelaide Street. I'm with his wife. And I'd just like to say, you know, our concern, we've lived there for 16 years, and we could have got a whole bunch of people here tonight again. I mean, people are concerned. That area is horrible, and you know it. And Mr. McAllister knows it, and he's here, he agrees. We've had, you know, many meetings here. We've been here for the initial planning, and really what is so aggravating to me is I was here for all the initial planning, for sale and all the input. I was here for every single meeting. And what I don't understand is they were approved for something, that's what they should have been held to build. And the community was here, people, you know, were okay with what they wanted to do, and that was how it was purchased, under those regulations, under whatever, I don't even know the legal jargon, whatever. The point is, the community was here, and they saw what they wanted to build, 18 apartments, however many parking spots, blah, 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 blah. Now it's actually 9 feet higher, it's probably gonna be the tallest thing, you know, I don't know if it's gonna look like the thing on Jericho Little Neck Parkway, that's huge. The area over there, I drive it multiple times a day. We have 5 kids in back and forth, both schools, driving my kids to work, walking my kids. The traffic over there is so bad, and I don't even care honestly about traffic. I'll sit in 20 minutes. I want my kids to be safe. There's elderly people all over Flower that try to cross the street, and people are going to kill them. You're going to add more congestion. You can't even get a stop sign on the corner. Can't even get a crosswalk. I mean, this is years, 16 years of this. And now this guy's going to walk in here and get whatever the hell he wants. And it's really, really upsetting. It doesn't feel like anybody's on our side. I have this young lady, I don't know who you are, but you're rolling your eyes at my husband the whole time? Yes, you were. Yes, you were. And my daughter's, yes, you were. You're rolling your eyes. I don't know who you are, I don't know what you do, but it's very unprofessional. I'm assuming you work for the village? And we are concerned citizens.
I was listening
Yes.
to what you were saying and not understanding the difference between
Okay.
the two boards.
Mr. Bamber, the administrator, will say something.
Okay.
Any concerns, and we went through this process, I sort of led the process for the development. And when we did go through the process, it wasn't just residential proposals. The CRB, we started out with CBRE with every possibility that could be built there.
Yes.
There's 32 things on the ladder,
I was here.
32 commercial exactly. So we narrowed it down, we went out for the proposals, we came back with businesses, actually the applicant across the street on Joe Turnpike, they wanted to buy it, put businesses there. But we listened to the community, and as the mayor alluded to, the community said, basically, the consensus was, all we could really want there was some residential development. That would be the least impactful.
Yes.
So they came with a proposal, which was to build the building as existing, and it was for the 18 units. That was went into the contract. They were in compliance with the contract at the time they closed the contract.
Mm-hmm.
The contract, as discussed before, had a restriction, a 30-year restriction residential only, but it wasn't just for the 18 units. That's what they went through. They spent a year and a half getting to that point. And part of the reason that was put into the contract, so they couldn't come back and engineer a default into the contract and get out of the contract. That's what they agreed to. So, but when we had a deed closing, it had that restriction. So it went from 32 possible commercial uses down to 1 use of residential only. And it wasn't unlimited, it was subject to the existing laws regarding variances. They came in seeking, now they're seeking more. They got pushed back from the higher number, even before they got to the zoning board. Then they asked for 27, and then now they got pushed down to 24. So they didn't get everything they wanted. It was subject to some restrictions. I get your point. It's a very busy intersection. But I think one way to look at it is, if it's not this, what could have gone there? And that was the whole purpose of the process of finding out what could the community live with. And this was the least impactful development of that property. If you sell the property owner has a right to develop it. He restricted out of 32 possible options down to one, residential only, subject to existing zoning codes, which is the village code, which is also the state law, as to what variances are allowed. And he got knocked down from 27. I mean, I can tell you, well, why not higher? We said that was not going to fly. We don't know what, so we didn't tell him what number to come in with. He came at 27. From the zoning board and the planning commission, we agreed their very short decision. They said it's a little over intensive. Cut it down. They cut down to three smallest units. So there was a process that is now continuing. The zoning, you mentioned the traffic study. That really wasn't relevant to the zoning board's determination. But now it's very relevant to the ARB. And my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the ARB can't say, no, we're not going to build 24 units there. But they can say, if it's an unsafe condition, we're not going to give you the building permit. You're going to come back again and again to get it right. Right? That's the way it works. They can't say, no, you got to go back to 18. The zoning board made a determination. They can say, the plan you proposed is off for whatever reason from a health and safety perspective. That's the zoning board's determination at this point. So there is a process. It went through the zoning board, went to the planning commission. Now the ARB is chiming in. So a lot of eyes are looking at this to make sure it's the least impactful. It would have been. I understand your concern.
Yeah.
I used to live on a commercial area.
I'm on Adelaide Street. I'm a residential
I
lot.
absolutely get it. So.
And I totally understand the process, and I know everything that you just said, and I appreciate you explaining it to me. The only thing I wasn't clear on is the initial presentation, 18 apartments. I think residents here, including myself, thought that was it. That's what they were building. We didn't realize, oh, no, we can add, because as a homeowner in Floral Park, and I've lived here, like I said, for 16 years, I'm very well aware of all the things that we have to do. We have to get permits for this and that, and air conditioning and fencing, and that's great. And we did everything we needed to do. We bought a house that, had a lot of CO issues, and we cleared everything up. And as homeowners, it's just frustrating because, we have to do all these things for little tiny things. And then this comes in, and then and I understand there's a process, but I just feel that, he should have been held more to, but that's over now, so.
Yes.
It's 10,000 square feet bigger, if I remember. That's a significant size also. That's going to change so many things.
Yeah, the first 18 was him trying to squeeze into the existing buildings, and that was coming for whatever reason, COVID, everything else, increased costs. He's coming back with a different plan, which the deed does not restrict. The deed did restrict it from, as I said, 32 down to one possible use, residential, and he's still subject to all the rules regarding variances and character of the neighborhood, all those things that the zoning board rightfully considered, and that's why he got squeezed down to 24, even though he wanted to build more. And the planning commission agreed it should be scaled back a bit. The zoning board agreed to scale back a bit, and that's the restriction that was going forward. You can build 32 different commercial uses. You can build one, but that's subject to whatever the zoning allows, and that's has its own internal limitations on what can fit in an area. I think to look at it from that perspective, it's of all the possible different various uses of that property that were allowed in the zoning, this was the choice to try to get it down to the least impactful. And 18, preserve the building, I think everyone would be very happy with that. But he has a right as a property owner to seek his variances. He got the variances, he didn't get everything he asked for, he got squeezed back down. That's really, and there's a lot of people looking at the process.
So with that being said, maybe, the village itself can make more safety precautions in that area when this is obviously going through.
And when we get the study back, and when the ARB, determines entrances and exits, and it's all
Well,
stuff.
I think I know the answer of I feel like I know the answer of what's going to happen. But I just want you guys to know that it's not just us.
Understood. Oh, absolutely. We got a bunch of letters the other day, so.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
And you've seen the
Absolutely. I know you did a lot more people than the four of them.
Yeah, and
I
he's only to keep it quiet because he wanted to try to
appreciate that.
have a productive.
I think Mr. Ray, please go see Mr. Ryan. I think the work productive will definitely come forth, and then.
Sure, I told him I was.
And then I think, residents should come to the ARB and express what their concerns are. And like you said, Mr. Tweedy and the rest of them are professionals, and will listen. They live here and want to see project possible that, you know, works for everyone in Floral Park.
If I may, because I wasn't able to get to it, just the ARB meeting, right? We've got a number of logistical problems there.
Yeah, we understand, that's the.
All right, so
Yeah,
there was multiple, okay.
yeah, we'll address that.
And a lot of people try to, like, this is much more conducive to speaking, unless you want to get legal, right? But over there, you couldn't talk at them.
Yeah, understood, we don't get it. So the next time it's on the agenda, we'll make sure.
We'll see, maybe I'll bring those people out.
No, they should come out, they have concern, they should address it. Like I mentioned with the third track, it was a long, long haul to get to where we are today. A lot of effort went into it, and, you know, Floral Park is better off, all that effort is put into by hundreds and hundreds of residents to get to that, so. It's a smaller example of it. Hopefully when it's done, you can say the same. Anybody else? Anyone on Zoom want to speak? That is one gentleman. I see there's a Boy Scout in the back.
I have no questions.
With that, have a good evening, and nobody did something. Only no questions on Zoom, right?
No, there's just one person that raised their hand.
Okay. Thank you for coming out, and continue the conversation.
Are we going?